Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Marty Mrazik of Elite Athlete Services. Welcome to Sports Psychology 123. Today, my very special guest is Cody Cuthill. He is a former high school and collegiate volleyball player. He has traveled around the world and played and participated in many sports. And this guy has dealt with a lot of injuries in his life. So we're looking forward to diving into that with him. Cody, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Marty. Yeah, a long and troubled career of constant injury all the way through. Well, not in the first few years when it didn't matter, but as you get older, it all starts to fall apart. So you really have to be cognizant of that pain and then how you're managing your injuries and where the level of playing through is. So great to chat about it.
Well, great. First of all, just tell us a little bit of what you have going on right now. You're a few years removed from your volleyball career. What's keeping you busy these days?
Few years removed is a bit of an understatement. I guess I haven't played college ball since 2013. So it's over 13 years here. Uh, but now, usually more outdoor adventure sports, trying to stay active with trying to work out, rock climbing, hiking, lots of mountain biking, skiing in the wintertime. So stuff like that. Have a daughter and another one on the way. So that's a constant battle of getting exercise in, staying healthy, and chasing children around consistently while trying to get enough sleep all at the same time.
So your life has shifted a little bit from your college athlete days, it sounds like.
We're not staying up till 5 a.m. drinking beers and then going to play a match the next day. That's for sure.
Yeah, a little bit of a shift and life changes for sure. So let's dive into the topic of pain. Almost every athlete is going to have to deal with pain at some point in their careers. You were played a lot of volleyball, so lots of repetitive movements, and you definitely had some injuries in the context of that. So when we think about this concept of pain and athletes dealing with pain, again, for you, you had to play and participate and really perform at a very high level, even though you're in pain. For you as an athlete, what were some of the keys to managing pain as you were performing?
Yeah, so it's a good question. And I think it's something that every athlete deals with, but may not have a true awareness of what they're doing on a daily basis. I think from that standpoint, the number one thing is have a good team around you of people who understand your body, how you recover, what you need. Have those open conversations with your coaches and teammates so they know where your limits lie. By the end of my college career, I was only practicing 2 or 3 days a week when the rest of the team was practicing 5 because I wasn't at a point where those couple days of practice would make me that much better, but I was at a point where those couple days would probably injure me in a game or cause damage to those repetitive strain injuries, knees, shoulders, ankles, back, a lot of things like that. I think trying to manage your workload is a big thing, but having a good open conversation with your coach, with your trainers, with your therapists, and it's important to remember that kind of not all therapists and trainers are created equal, and not all understand you and your body the same from person to person to person. If you're just getting generic advice on, hey, your hips hurt, do these stretches, you probably want to explore further because there's probably a lot more going on with it. A lot of manual manipulations probably needed. And you have to understand what's the difference between dipping out early for management because you don't want to practice, or where you kind of on the edge of playing and performing well before you get hurt.
Yeah, interesting. So that communication piece, because, when a lot of athletes push through pain, and yet sometimes that pain is actually limiting, and the only person that really has a good idea of what's going on is you. And other people may look at you and say, suck it up, buttercup. Others might say, oh, hey, you're going too hard. Like, I'm sure you experience just this broad range of responses. And yet at the end of the day, it's you trying to perform at your very best. So it sounds like just really being very intentional about your communication became really important for you as you got into a place where you actually were doing a lot of load management.
Yeah, on building that self-awareness. I mean, for an athlete, there's no stronger skill than having good self-awareness, whether it's from your physical side, from your tactical side, from your emotional, mental strategy side. You have to build that self-awareness. It's a lot easier for athletes to build physical self-awareness and then transition that into the mental self-awareness for the most part, because you have a more innate understanding of how your body feels, but you have to have a realistic expectation of what those feelings translate to as well. So you can't just say, I'm sore, my quads are sore, my calves are sore, my knees are achy, I can't play at all. That's not realistic because you will always have to play through some sort of discomfort. I don't like saying play through pain because you don't really want to be consistently paying through pain, but you are going to be consistently playing and training through discomfort, whatever it is.
Interesting. Because what I find interesting about conversations like these, Cody, is that I think every athlete kind of has their own unique relationship with their pain, right? And we know that the emotional, psychological side can magnify pain. It always feels less painful when you win. And then our emotional side can also intensify and magnify our pain. It hurts a lot more when we lose. So we have this interesting relationship with our pain and really understanding. I mean, the Emperor Marcus Aurelius said that pain is just pain, but it's the words we attribute to our pain that add or decrease to the suffering. And I think he's talking about this mental side and how we attribute to the pain. And so as you went on in your career, I think you had this interesting relationship with your pain, and being at peace or at least comfortable with your pain was probably important for you. Can you speak to that? Just that relationship you developed with your pain and how that was important for you to perform.
I like you roping in the Stoic philosophy there of
That's
what's
right.
your perception of it and how you everyone reacts the same way to it, but what do you do after the initial reaction to manage and live through it? I find it's different too, especially now living with your pain or what your relationship is with it, and it's especially different in different sports. For volleyball or basketball or hockey, it's more of a sprint through your pain, which I think is a different relationship than the marathon, the ultras, the triathlons, the high alpine mountaineering, where it's a grind through your pain for hours at a time. And I think they're completely, totally different things where it's easier to sprint through your pain, perform how you have to do, think of those outcome based goals and metrics to help you get through it. Where when you're on a huge hike and you're mountaineering or you're doing like a multi-pitch climb and you have 4 hours to think about it while also physically struggling, and there's a bit of a different relationship there, and you have to build different coping mechanisms to adapt. And what do you attribute it, like you said, for Marcus Aurelius? What are you now categorizing the pain, and how do you identify it? Is it really there? Is it just something pulling down your mental state? I think given the situation, you need to build those different relationships. It's a lot easier to go for your 35-second shift on the ice in pain than to run for 52 kilometers while in pain. Not saying the one is stronger than the other, but they're different relational mentalities around it.
And what about during a season? I mean, you're totally right. Like it's different sports. You have these short bursts in sports like volleyball and hockey. But throughout the entire season, did you find that there was other things? Like I love your comment that the community around you is a big part of pain management, right? And we know that being around other people can dampen the effects of pain. But during a long season, when you know that you're dealing with injuries, was there other things that you felt were really important for you to continue to perform well? Or was it a matter of, well, I can just stuff it aside for this game, I'll be fine? Or what was your approach?
Proper constant maintenance for me was get into physio every single day. Make sure you do have the ice baths after. Ice your knees. Make sure you're stretching appropriately, doing the right rotator cuff exercises, like the long, tedious, annoying workout components where you're in physio for an hour almost every single day. Doing some sort of maintenance was really important. You look at stories like Russell Wilson, LeBron James, these guys spending $1 to $2 million a year just on body maintenance. It's obviously not realistic for most athletes to spend $2 million on that, but doing what you can do, stretching properly. A big issue for me when I was in my first 2 years of college and through high school and everything in club sport was I did zero body maintenance. Like you're young, you're resilient, nothing really bugs you. You don't get too tight. But then coming from high level ski racing, have a lot of like quad and hip and lower back issues going on into volleyball, constant jumping, always jumping. I jumped quite high and landed quite poorly, but never stretched, barely ever iced, never did any of the, I was always trying to work out for size gains, pure ego as a tall, skinny kid. So doing those proper maintenance things all the way through and starting young. Because I think I would have had a lot less injury if I had done that, but then also learned proper movement dynamics at a young age too. I know we have a great guy, Jeff Chrishell, who talks a lot about what are those movement fundamentals. How do you contact the ground? If you can get that dialed in when you're young, that'll help you a lot later in your career. And arguably very poor movement fundamentals with a lot of explosive power, which combines for significant injury later on. Like your tissue just can't handle it.
Too strong for your own body, right? And then how do you manage that? And I mean, interesting that as a young player, you're not thinking about that. I'm fine. But for the longevity in the sport, you really need to be conscious of those things and diving into those things that are going to help your body in the long term.
Yeah, and that it never really occurred to me until probably my third year of college, where got recruited to a new school, was supposed to be one of their high performing players. First month in, pulled something in one shoulder, ended my back, which sidelined me for quite a while in my first year at this new place. And then I think later that year, blew up one of my meniscus. The following year, knee again and dislocated an ankle. The following year was my last year, ended my career playing in California. Jumped and I heard my meniscus just tear essentially midair off the ground and hit a ball, got a kill, landed, couldn't walk. That's how that's how it all ended in kind of like my highlight season, kills leader that year already, was ready to go playing the best I ever had. And then that jump, I knew that my career was over at that point. So
Very good. Well, great topic about pain, right? And I think, as you say there, I think we're learning a lot about pain, and you learned a lot about pain and pain management and load management, all those kind of things that are, if you want to have a good, successful career, you really got to be diving into that. So lots of great stuff there. Cody, thanks for joining us.
perfect. Thanks, Marty.